We were co-presidents of the Historic Preservation Group, and just before our term of office was over, we were looking at the changeover that was happening in Monrovia, because at that point, the next generation of people were beginning to buy the older homes. And a lot of those younger people didn't know anything about MOHBG's existence. And I said, we need to find a way to connect with these new people who were coming into owning their own homes so that people could not just move into a house and come into their closed doors, but would find out places to make connections with other people and with the city in town. And no one wanted to do it. No one wanted to pick up the slack. So when our office termed out, finally at the end of 4 years, we talked about it and we said, we're going to figure out a way to do this. We started putting together just some simple stuff from the city, the phone numbers of all the city offices, for example, and the community center mailer that listed activities that happened locally. And we figured out that Saturdays were about the best time to go meet people who might be home.
Katie and I went out the very first time, January 24th, 2003.
We would together talk to the homeowners and tell them about things that we knew in town and the various organizations. So we did that for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, something like that. It was quite a long time. And I realized I had to work Saturdays oftentimes, and it got to the point where it was just too frustrating.
John had to search for somebody to be the partner, because you can't do it alone.
I looked at John and we're naming people that we knew, and I said, what about Hal? He's a salesman. He can sell anything.
I immediately said yes. So that's how I got involved in the Welcome Wagon. We've been doing it now for 21 or 22 years. I'm the driver. John is probably the most well-known person in Monrovia. He starts off by going to Adams and Barnes to get the list of homes that have currently sold. Once he has that list, he goes to places like City Hall, Chamber of Commerce, Boys and Girls Club, etc., and collects up to 30 pieces of information. So John has to spend a lot of gas, time, and energy going all around town collecting information, which we will then disperse through the packets.
To me, when you move into a new community, I always say it's like parachuting into a lake. Which shore is the closest? Where you get started? Finding this information and giving it to people, everybody's interest is different. So it was looking for something that would cover everybody. As we started adding things to the packet to interest people, I'm thinking, now, what can we do to get people to volunteer? There's always a chance to volunteer someplace. If you find something here or in some other place that would make our community better, become a volunteer.
Okay, now we decorate the car.
Okay.
Buildings are easy to be built and torn down, but good people are hard to find. And we have a lot of them in Monrovia.
All of them have been volunteers. So this is just part of the volunteer starting way back when that has made us what we are today. So every time I come in, I look at this. Some of them jump out because I know them. Some of them I think they were here long before me, but look what they've done to help us get to where we are. So every one of them is a special person.
When I first started at the Chamber, that was one of the first programs that I kind of learned about. It was like this unofficial but well-known thing. I've had people come back to me to come, for other information and say, oh yeah, I've met John before. He came with the Welcome Wagon. I'm like, that's amazing that people can just name him.
Nice thing about this job, I get a lot of exercise. It's not just putting things together and going to the homes and dropping it off. It's understanding the history, because we tell all kinds of stories as we go out.
One of the reasons why we wanted to live in Monrovia was because we felt that there was really a centralized community here, an active community. And one day we were remodeling before we moved in. These two gentlemen rolled up in a big white car with the American flags there and said, "Hi, we're the Welcome Wagon." I was just blown over, seriously, and I was thrilled, and I said, I just can't believe that there's a Welcome Wagon in Monrovia and that these two great gentlemen are out here volunteering to bring this information to the new people in town, to make them feel welcome and to invite them to be part of the community.
So it's things like that that really make my heart pump big.
Back in 2008, we purchased this house, and it was a little bit of an uncertain time because this was definitely a fixer-upper. As soon as escrow had closed, we got in and we started tearing things up, and lo and behold, a block over, there was a shooting. We talked about, did we make a mistake? And about that time, Hal and John pulled up in their white car with the flags waving, and I greeted them here at the door, and at first I was like, what is this all about? You know, this is kind of interesting. What are they selling? I realized that they were here to welcome me to the neighborhood, and it really was a turning point for us because we realized at that point that maybe we did make the right decision in buying here in Monrovia.
We have been doing this for many, many years, and we have yet to find one person who has regretted moving to Monrovia.
I love Monrovia. I love the people of Monrovia. And I think people are what makes the town. There are more people volunteer here than I ever could have imagined. People giving time to make Monrovia our home. So for me, I love Monrovia, and all because of her. She brought me to Monrovia and then made me get involved.
It's been a wonderful experience. That's why we keep doing it. We enjoy talking to people. We enjoy meeting new people. We enjoy making people happy. Just recently, we called on a fellow who's about 6'6", and he came out of the door smiling and happy.
I've been hearing from the neighbors that I might get someone to stop
Here
by.
we are.
And we talked to him for about a half an hour. A professional volleyball player. I didn't know there was such a thing as professional volleyball players. But this gentleman was just wonderful. And we walked away, and as John and I always say, our day's complete. We've met at least one wonderful person, and we had time to talk to them, and they had time to talk to us.
People have been really welcoming. All I have to do is show them the packet, and they've been very open to us coming in. Katie said, I don't know how you guys get by with it. The police are always saying, don't answer the door for strangers.
Here come these two gray-haired men who knock on the door, never seen them before, don't know what they're selling or what they're doing, and people open their door and say, come in. I don't understand that, but it's wonderful.
I don't have any regrets. One of the things that I don't look back and say, I wish this had happened or that had happened. I've had a pretty blessed life.
We can't take this all with us. We have to give it back.
I'm 90, and I believe John is 88. And let's say in 10 years, we won't be doing this. So it would be nice if there were somebody who would fill in. Somebody has to be a John Watson. I don't think he's replaceable, though.
I can't imagine a Monrovia where they're not doing this. How do I make sure that happens, and who are they training so that the next families that come in and decide this is where they want to be, that they get that?
We can educate people and give them scripts and have them get to know them well enough they don't have to read from the script. But it's got to be somebody who's got the motivation and drive to follow through with it because they value it and they value connecting with the community.
People like John and Hal and Katie are one of the main reasons why we love this place so much. They personify the idea of what Monrovia is all about: community, volunteerism, caring for your neighbor, helping people to understand all the resources and everything that this city has to offer.
This little community in the Foothills is much more than my home, our home. It's a place to love, it's a place to honor, it's a place to respect, and we're proud to be able to take our time and our energies and keep on making it better and better.